Dear student, today we are going to discuss about the poem Granny's Tree Climbing written by Ruskin Bond. I think all of you are familiar with the name Ruskin Bond because in class 7 you have read the first lesson, that is Monkey Travel. The writer of Monkey Travel is also Ruskin Bond. So let's come to know about the poet of the poem. Ruskin Bond was born in the year 1934. He spent his childhood at his grandparents' house in Dehradun, now in Uttarakhand, but at that time it was in Uttar Pradesh. And there he grew up in company of many pets animals, as you have come to know about from the story Monkey Trouble, that besides being the monkey, the grandfather has also other pets. So there he grew up, and as a result he developed a deep love for nature, and which is evident in most of his stories, you will find out. And here the poem The Granny's Tree Climbing, it is taken from the collection of poem An Island of Trees, and it is a collection of short stories also. And here the poet is mainly focusing on the importance of human beings bond with nature. So here in the poem Granny's Tree Climbing, you will come across Granny's love for climbing tree. Even in her old age also, she does not part herself from the loving nature. She likes to climb the tree at any cost. As she cannot be stopped, so it is a kind of fear for the family members, because as she is old, so if she would fall from the tree, she would have to suffer a lot. But Granny was not ready to listen anything. At any cost, she wants to climb the tree. One day, while her family members were out, then an incident took place. She climbed a tree, and from the tree she could not get down. She became afraid. She was taken down from the tree. The doctor came and found her in bad health, and she had been advised to take complete rest. But the feeling to her was not at all good, because she could not tolerate her separation from dear nature, but she had no other option but to control her desire. One day she called her son, that is the father of the narrator of the poem, and requested her to make a treetop house for her. And as per her request, the father of the narrator made a treetop house with the help of the narrator, and there Granny lived very happily, and the narrator used to go there with glasses and a tray, and there Granny used to sit in grand style and drink a kind of wine in the treetop house. This is the summary of the poem. Now let's discuss the poem in detail. In the first line, the poet is saying that my grandmother was a genius. You'd like to know why? So obviously the question would come to your mind, why is the poet calling his grandmother a genius? In the next line you will find the answer. Because she could climb trees. Because grandmother has an ability to climb any tree. Because of her climbing skill, she has been called genius. Spreading or high, she would be up their branches in a trice. Means she is so skillful in climbing trees that in any type of trees, that is spread or high or whatever may be, she can easily climb the tree. And mind you, when last she climbed a tree, she was 62, and even the poet points out that her climbing skill not only limited in her childhood or adulthood, but even in her old age also, she used to climb a tree. Means at the age of 62, she climbed a tree. And ever since childhood, she had this gift for being happier in a tree than in a lift. So, she has acquired the skill of climbing tree in her childhood, and she feels herself happier in the tree. And though as years went by, she would be told that climbing tree should stop when one grew old, and that growing old should be gone about gracefully. And what is said? It is said that as she is old, so it is wise decision to stop climbing tree, because she might fall and the result would not be good for her in her old age. The family members are suggesting that she should enjoy the old age beautifully. But Granny's reply was, she would laugh and say, whenever the family members used to point out about her old age and to stop climbing the trees, she used to laugh at them and say I will grow old disgracefully. She would say that I don't want to enjoy my old age gracefully, but I want to grow old disgracefully by climbing tree, because according to the family members, climbing trees in such an age is not at all disgraceful. Sorry, not at all graceful. So Granny is saying that though I am old, but I can climb the tree better than before, and we had to agree. So when the person is confident one, when the person is not ready to listen to you, you have no other option but to accept the person. And here also the family members did the same thing. For in all the garden there was not a tree she had not been up at one time or another. So even the narrator pointed out that in the garden there was not a single tree left. Even in the trees she climbed more than one, having learned to climb from a loving brother when she was 6. Here the poet pointed out the teacher of Granny who taught her climbing trees, and the teacher of Granny was her loving brother. Her loving brother taught her climbing trees, and at the age of 6, and from the age of 6, Granny started climbing trees under the guidance of a loving brother. And then, but it was feared by all that one day she would have a terrible fall, as she is old. So it is feared by the family members. It is a matter of great concern for the family members that if she would fall from the tree, then it would be very dangerous one for her. She would have to suffer a lot. The outcome was different. Outcome means here the result. What the family members thought about Granny, that one day she would fall from the tree, but something different had happened. What had happened? One day, while we were in town, she climbed a tree and could not come down. So one day, what happened? The family members of Granny went to the town, and Granny was alone in the house. She climbed a tree and could not come down. So everyone expected that Granny would fall from the tree. But one day, she climbed but could not get down. We went to the rescue, and then the doctor took Granny's temperature and said, so the family members of the narrator helped Granny to get down from the tree. As because of nervousness, Granny felt ill. Doctor came, felt that or found Granny in bad health. So the doctor said, I strongly recommend a quiet week in bed. Student, remember, I strongly recommend a quiet week in bed. It is the speech of the doctor. The question is asked by quoting this line, that whose speech is it? Remember, this is the speech of the doctor, and here the doctor is giving a suggestion. The doctor said, I strongly recommend a quiet week in bed. The doctor asked Granny. The doctor found Granny in bad health, that is, Granny having high temperature, and so Granny was asked to take complete bed rest. We sigh with relief and tucked her up well. So, what happened? As Granny was advised to take bed rest, so as a result, Granny would not be able to climb a tree. So, now the family members hear the we, a sigh of relief, because now they are happy because Granny could not climb up the tree, and tucked her up well and kept her up well. Poor Granny. But Granny here has been called poor. Why? For her, it was like a brief season in hell. Hell, that in mythology you will find out the sinners, they would be sent to hell. Hell here means endless suffering. In hell, fire is burning all the time, and those who are sinners, they are thrown into hell so that they would suffer. Here also, the separation of Granny from her dear nature is a kind of living in hell. So she felt that as if she has been suffering endlessly because she could not climb the tree. She had to separate herself from the loving nature. Confined to her bedroom. Confined means imprisoned, kept in her bedroom, while every breeze means, that is, mild air, whispered of summer and dancing leaves. So means in the season of summer, Granny was stuck in the tree, and the dancing leaves, the whisper of the summer, as if all these things were calling Granny to get out and to come to the nature. But she held her peace till she felt stronger, as Granny was weak because of nervousness, because of illness. All those temptations were there that were calling her to come to the lap of nature, but Granny kept control over her and decided not to go out till she is well. Then sat up and said, I will lie here no longer. And when she felt stronger, then sat up and said that it is not possible for me to bear the separation from nature. She called for my father and told him, undaunted, means then father of the narrator has been called, and Granny firmly, strongly, you can say, with emphasis, told him a tree top house was that she now wanted. She ordered her son to make a tree top house for her. My dad knew his duties. Even the narrator's father also knew very well what he had to do. He said, that's all right. You will have what you want, dear. I will start work tonight. And as for the desire of Granny, the narrator's father also assured her that from tonight he would start making or constructing the treetop house. With my expert assistant, he soon finished the chore. Chore means job. So the narrator also helped his father to build the treetop house for Granny. Made her a treetop house with window and a door, and the house that was built, there was a window and a door. So the moment the treetop house was prepared, immediately Granny moved up. Granny climbed up and went into the treetop house. And now every day I climb to her room with glasses and a tray, and the narrator used to visit Granny's treetop house, as well as you can say the narrator used to visit Granny with tray and glasses, and then she sits there in state, and Granny there used to sit in grand style and enjoy, drink sherry with me and enjoy a kind of wine with the narrator, upholding her right to reside in a tree, as if supporting her right, as if it is a right for her to reside in a tree. To reside means to live or to take shelter in a treetop house. So here, student, we have come to know about the bond of Granny with nature. Though she was old, but she could not separate herself from nature. Even when she was ill at that time, also she could not think herself without nature. She did not feel well inside the room, but she had no other option. But at last, when she became stronger, at that time she decided to move to the lap of nature permanently, and as a result she requested her son to make a treetop house and to stay there for longer. And so, as per her request, the treetop house was made and she went there. In this way, the bond between Granny and the nature remains. I feel you will understand. Thank you.